Who would have thought back in the 1890s, when it all began, that this game could ever catch on? It wasn't so much that people weren't thrilled at seeing a soccer ball thrown at a peach basket perched on a pole. The trouble was something more basic. As critics pointed out,
here is a crucial flaw in this game. I refer to the difficulty not of getting the ball into the basket, but getting it back out again. It's time-consuming and tedious for spectators and players alike, not to mention hazardous for the officials. As a result, I predict that this so-called peach basketball will never attract a following among action-loving sportsmen.
But just as the game seemed hopelessly headed for oblivion, salvation came in the form of a brilliantly imaginative idea for a new rule of peach basketball. It envisioned cutting a hole in the bottom of the basket. This would permit the ball to pass through instead of remaining trapped there, thus stopping play. The rule was tested and put into effect. The rest is history. The pace of the game picked up. The name was shortened to just basketball. And it went on to heights of popularity the world over. All because of that one historic rule that still survives today. The ball shall not stay in the basket.
Well, now, to be honest, it did take some other rules, too, to make basketball the fast, exciting, super-skilled sports attraction it is today. And in all seriousness, these rules, despite constant study and updating to improve and clarify them, are not always too well understood by all fans and players, and sometimes not too consistently administered by all officials. Hence, this film, another in the official sports film series dedicated to better understanding and enforcement of the rules of basketball today.
And you're the lead official working
The job of rules enforcement begins for officials even before the game itself. They hold a conference to go over any recent rule changes and to discuss coverage of special game situations that may arise.
cross over in here, and we're looking at probably going down in here.
Complete agreement on officiating mechanics, signals, and position is essential if they are to work as a team. Constantly maintaining position to observe the actions of all players throughout the course of the game. To see and penalize every rule violation and foul. Obviously, not all contact that occurs in basketball is illegal. When it occurs during an attempt to reach a loose ball, as here, it's considered incidental. Whenever opponents are in equally favorable position to make normal offensive and defensive movements, contact is likely to be incidental. The basic principle in determining whether contact is legal or illegal is this. contact that results in no advantage or disadvantage to either team is not a foul. But this doesn't mean excessive contact is allowed. The kind of action or style of play aimed at overpowering opponents physically is not permitted within the spirit of the rules. And some actions are not legal even if no contact is made. Excessive swinging of the arms and elbows is a violation. If contact occurs from the swinging of arms or elbows, it's a personal foul. Contacting an opponent with hands or arms need not be violent or strenuous to be a foul. In fact, the only time a player may legally contact an opponent with his hands is when the opponent's hand is touched while it's on the ball. So even slight contact like this is illegal if it's made to gain an advantage. Using the hands to influence or try to control an opponent's movement. Pushing off from an opponent, even this lightly. Or feeling to locate an opponent or anticipate his movements, all are fouls. When illegal contact occurs, it's sometimes obvious which player is responsible. But more often, responsibility for a foul is not so apparent. This is why officials must maintain position to observe not only the contact itself, but the action leading up to it. In judging responsibility for illegal contact, these basic principles apply in guarding situations. A player takes a legal guarding position by facing his opponent and having both feet on the floor. Having done this, he need not continue facing the opponent. A player in legal guarding position may be as close to an opponent as he wishes, short of making contact. If a player jumps to establish legal guarding position in the path of a dribbler, both his feet must be on the floor before contact occurs. He does so here. It's charging by the dribbler. But this time, the guard fails to have both feet on the floor before the contact. It's a defensive foul. Once legal guarding position is established, a player may move to maintain his position in the opponent's path. In doing so, if he steps rather than jumps into his opponent's path, both his feet need not be on the floor at the time of contact. The foul here is by the offensive player.
Basketball is a game of drive, of speed, of moves. So when you slow down, when you can't keep up because of foot problems, this is where you end up, on the bench. One good way to keep off the bench and on the court is to use Desinex daily. Antifungal Desinex is America's #1 athlete's foot fighter. Use Desinex aerosol during the day and Desinex ointment at night to protect your feet. Use Desinex daily, and you may never have to sit out a game because of athlete's foot.
Another basic principle of guarding: never, under any circumstances, may a player move into the path of an opponent who's in the air. This is always an intentional foul. If it's also ruled flagrant, the offending player is disqualified. If contact is made with a guard's arm, leg, hip, or shoulder that's extended into an opponent's path, the guard is guilty of the foul. Again, in this case, the guard is not in legal position. He commits the foul. Legal position means a natural stance, the feet a normal distance apart. The arms may be held vertically above the shoulders. If contact occurs because a guard is not in legal position, the foul is by the guard. When a guard is maintaining legal position, contact occurring with his trunk or torso as an opponent tries to go past him is a foul by the opponent. However, if the opponent's head and shoulders are past the guard and the guard is moving when contact occurs, the guard is guilty of fouling. There are two exceptions to the principle that a guard may take legal position as close to an opponent as he likes, short of contact. The first applies in switching situations, when defensive players change opponents. When a guard switches into the path of a moving opponent who does not have the ball, he must allow the opponent time and room enough to avoid contact. Otherwise, as here, he's responsible for the contact. Blocking by the guard. This restriction does not apply when an opponent has the ball. A player with the ball is expected to be able to stop or change direction to avoid contact, no matter how closely he's guarded. A minimum distance requirement also applies when a guard takes a position in the path of a moving opponent who's looking back to receive a pass. If his position is so close to the opponent that contact can't be avoided even if he's seen, then contact is a foul by the guard. Depending on the opponent's speed, a distance of up to 2 full strides by the opponent must be allowed. Now the foul is by the opponent. The offensive equivalent of guarding is screening. It's a legal maneuver to prevent, delay, or limit a defensive player's movements. The principles are similar to those of guarding, except for restrictions on the distance a screener must maintain from an opponent. In setting a screen, a player must be stationary in normal floor position. The screener may be as close to a stationary opponent as he wishes, short of contact, if he's within the visual range of the opponent. But if it's a blind screen, with the screener behind or outside the opponent's visual range, then a minimum distance is required. The screener must be far enough away to allow the opponent one normal step toward him before contact. If this distance is not maintained and contact occurs, the foul is by the screener. In screening a moving opponent, the screener must take his position far enough from his opponent so that illegal contact can be avoided. Depending on the opponent's speed, this legal distance may be as much as 2 full strides. It need never be more than that. If contact occurs when the screener has failed to allow legal distance, the screener is blocking. Contact made with a screener in legal position is incidental, unless the screen player makes no effort to avoid or minimize the contact. This is excessive contact, a foul by the screen player. On this play, the pivot man receives the ball, then sets a legal screen. The contact here is incidental. But this time, the normally incidental contact becomes a foul when it forces the screener to travel. So in this case, the guard is called for charging.
You've just seen how important feet are to this game. They take a beating out there. That's why we use socks of high bulk Orlon. These socks are cushion-soled to soften those come-down jolts like you just saw. Cushion-soled to blot up game sweat. A good game sock must fit right. Be soft and stay soft. Remember, your feet are essential to your game. That's why I recommend that you take no chances. Wear cushion-soled socks of high bulk Orlon. All right, go on. In covering action in congested areas, the position of the officials is critical.
To observe action under the basket, the lead official should position himself so that he can, as some officials say, see through the play. In rebounding situations, officials must see that each player's right to maintain legal position is protected, whether he's standing, crouching, or jumping. Any contact by an opponent that impedes a player in legal position or moves him from it is a foul. In jumping forward rather than vertically, this player leaves his legal position. When he contacts an opponent who is in legal position, the jumper commits a foul. Here's an example of the importance of position by an official. On this play, if the lead official is here, his view of the action is blocked. This is all he can see. On this same play, if the official has this position, he can see through the play. From here, he can spot illegal contact by the shooter. Another example. On a fast break, this official finds himself in the worst possible spot to cover this action. In this situation, where the official can't lead the play, he should take a position like this. From here, he can see through the play. It's clear there's no foul. The trail official is responsible for following the flight of the ball on field goal tries. He therefore must maintain good position to detect any basket interference or goaltending. During a try, the trail official must be holding his position. He should never be moving away, as some inexperienced officials do in anticipation of a fast break. Goaltending can occur only on field goal tries. It's the touching of the ball by any player while it's in its downward flight, while it's entirely above the level of the ring, and while it has the possibility of going in the basket. Goaltending causes the ball to become dead immediately. If it's by the defense, 2 points are awarded to the offense. Offensive goaltending is a violation and prevents any score. This is not goaltending. The ball is touched while it's in its upward flight. This ends the try. And here the ball, while in its upward flight, is legally pinned against the backboard. It's not goaltending. Unlike goaltending, basket interference may occur during free throws as well as during field goal tries. If the offense commits basket interference, no points can be scored. If there's basket interference by the defense, points are awarded the opponents. 2 on a field goal try, 1 on a free throw. It's basket interference if the ball or any part of the basket is touched while the ball is on or in the basket. These are all violations, basket interference. It's also basket interference if the ball is touched while any part of it is touching the imaginary cylinder above the basket. The act of dunking is a form of basket interference and is penalized by a technical foul. It's defined as driving, forcing, or pushing the ball through the basket, or trying to do so. This technical foul is called whenever it occurs, even if it's during pregame warm-ups. The penalty for a foul depends on the type of foul. Let's consider the different categories. All fouls are either personal or technical. While the ball is alive, a technical foul is one not involving contact with an opponent. While the ball is dead, a technical foul is an act of unsportsmanlike conduct, with or without contact. The penalty for a technical foul is 1 free throw. The captain of the offended team designates the free throw shooter. A personal foul is one involving contact between 2 opponents while the ball is alive. The only exception is when there's illegal contact while a throw-in is in progress. even though the ball is dead in this case. It's a personal foul. After a personal foul against a player in the act of shooting, the ball remains alive until the shot is made or missed. The penalty is 2 free throws if the try is missed, 1 if the try is successful. Any personal foul is a common foul, unless it's against a player in the act of shooting, or is intentional or flagrant, or is part of a multiple or double foul. A common foul by a player while he or a teammate is in control of the ball is a player control foul. Free throws are never awarded for player control fouls. The ball is always awarded to the other team out of bounds at the spot nearest the violation, and no free throws are awarded for any other common fouls until the bonus rule is in effect. Any foul, technical or personal, that's committed with premeditation or by design is ruled an intentional foul. The penalty is, without exception, 2 free throws. The severity of the action is not a factor in determining if a foul is intentional. It's whether the act was committed purposely, as here, in an attempt to prevent what appears to be a sure score. The goal counts, and 2 free throws are awarded. Any foul, personal or technical, is flagrant if it involves unsportsmanlike action of a violent or savage nature. The penalty is always 2 free throws and disqualification of the player committing the foul. A personal foul is ruled flagrant only if the contact is of such severity that physical injury could result. Opponents commit personal fouls against each other at approximately the same time. It's a double foul. Each player is charged with a foul, but no free throws are awarded. The penalties cancel one another. Play is resumed with a jump ball at the center circle between any 2 opponents.
Get your foot inside the circle.
Another responsibility of officials is to enforce time limitations, to prevent delays of the game, and help assure continuous balanced action. On a throw-in, from the time the ball is placed at the disposal of the thrower-in, he's allowed 5 seconds to complete the throw-in by having the ball touched by another player on the court. Failure to do this is a violation. Another time limit situation. When a team gains possession of the ball in its back court, it has 10 seconds to advance it into front court. This 10-second count does not begin until team control is established in back court. If a player on the team in control is the first to touch the ball that he or a teammate has caused to go from front to back court, it's a violation. But here, number 23 first gets possession while in the air, after taking off from front court. Then he lands in back court. This is legal, and the 10-second count starts. But in the same situation, when number 23 gets possession in the air after jumping from front court, he passes to back court. Touching of the ball there by a teammate now is a violation. In this case, the ball is returned to back court illegally. But until control is established, there is no front or back court. Here, the ball is tapped from what will become front court only when control is established. No violation. Still another time limit situation. No player of the team in control may be in this part of the free throw lane for more than 3 seconds while the ball is in his front court. The count stops when the player has both feet on the floor outside the lane. But this is a violation. However, if a player starts a drive to try for goal before the 3-second limit is reached, the restriction is lifted, provided he actually shoots. During a loose ball, The 3-second count continues because team control of the ball has not changed. So this is a violation by the pivot player. During a loose ball after a try, the 3-second restriction is not in effect until team control is reestablished. Officials must also enforce the 5-second limitation on a player's control of the ball in his front court. If he's closely guarded by an opponent within 6 feet of him, he must either pass or shoot within 5 seconds. Otherwise, a held ball is ruled. And a time limit is applied when there's a lack of sufficient action in the game. If the ball is in the midcourt area without aggressive action by either team for 10 seconds, officials will warn the team responsible for forcing action.
Go defense, play ball.
The team that has been warned now has 5 seconds to start providing action. In the case of the defense, this means going into midcourt to make an honest effort to get the ball. Responsible for forcing action, whichever team. If the score is tied, the defense is responsible. Here, the offense is behind and draws the warning.
All right, offense, let's go, play ball.
The offense now has 5 seconds to advance the ball into the forecourt or draw a technical foul. Only one warning is given to a team during a period. After a team has been warned, if it is the team responsible for forcing action, it must do so within 5 seconds without being told or be penalized. One thing's for sure, this game today is a far cry from its peach basket beginnings, when it was not much more than an every man for himself exercise in uncontrolled ineptitude. Today it combines all the elements, speed, science, team coordination, and total athletic skill to produce what's becoming the world's top sports attraction. The difference between basketball today and yesterday is largely a matter of rules that assure more evenly balanced action and a vastly more exciting style of play. The rules make the game, and the better those rules are understood and applied by everyone involved, fans included, the greater the worldwide following will be for basketball today.